Did you think when you started drumming on Friends that show was going to take off in the way that it did?
Here's the story, Ollie.
I am joined on the UK Drum Show official podcast by the iconic legend that is Gregg Bissonette. Yeah.
Ah! Thank you, Ollie. Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you for coming on. See you later. No, I'm joking.
I
For
take
those
your
of you,
and our next guest.
imagine. Gregg, you are a multi-award-winning drummer, and you're one of the most versatile and in-demand players on the planet. You can be heard playing on over 300 albums, spanning genres from jazz to heavy metal, with artists like David Lee Roth, Ringo Starr, Santana, Don Henley, and even Spinal Tap.
Final Tap. Tonight we're gonna rock you tonight.
I mean, I've got so much that I want to talk to you about, aside from
Let's
being
go.
extremely jealous that you've actually played with Spinal Tap. Obviously, Gregg, you are playing the main stage of the UK Drum Show on Sunday, the 19th of October at the ACC Liverpool. And I know that your fellow bandmate has a strong tie to Liverpool, obviously, Mr. Ringo
And they
Starr.
just won the league, right? Liverpool Football Club. Here we go. Ready? Liverpool.
Why did he went into 5-4? I was like, wow. um, I mean, I mean, I want to go back to the beginning of your career. Your grooves on those kind of early David Lee Roth albums are legendary. How did you approach those albums without overplaying in that band? How did you approach that?
Well, thank you very much for the compliment. I just love the way you say legendary. You say it the right way. Legendary. Legendary. We say legendary. We don't know. We're copying your Queen's English, man. So, but I do have ties to the UK. My mom's dad was British. My mom's mom was Scottish. My dad's mom was Irish, and my dad's dad was French. So there you go.
Wow, wow.
I'll take the UK side. The Beatles, come on. Led Zeppelin.
We're definitely gonna come on to your what you're doing with Ringo at the moment, but
Okay, here's
go
my
on.
answer to the question. I don't want to
Yeah,
take, I don't want to
go
ever
go.
not answer the question. How did I not overplay in the David Lee Roth band with
Uh-huh.
players like Billy Sheehan on bass, Steve Vai on guitar, Dave on vocals? You would think, wow, here's my chance with a double bass drum kit. Overplay. I am a song guy because of the drummer you just mentioned from Liverpool. Because Ringo's my favorite song drummer and the Beatles are my favorite band. I always want to play, Ollie, for the song. I want to play the right drum parts for the song. Now, in the David Lee Roth band, we got to do, Shy Boy, Shy Boy, Shy, Elephant Gun, Big Trouble, Phil's, Yankee Rose, Going Crazy. We got to play a lot, but trying to never overplay never overplay and don't cover up the vocals. The vocals are the number one thing. That's what cracks me up about gospel chops. It's like, wait a minute, gospel chops. As a Christian man, the gospel is the word of God. If you're going over amazing grace, you're covering up the words, man. Don't cover up the words. Don't cover up the words of David Lee Roth or of ELO or Ringo or any Nigel Tufnell. Don't cover up Nigel Tufnell's words. You got to play. Skippy Scuffleton here saying don't overplay even when you're playing on 11 on Big Bottom at Wembley Stadium. At Live Earth, Ringo's birthday, 7707. How cool was that?
That's amazing. Obviously you've mentioned Big Bottom, you've mentioned my hero, which is Nigel Tufnell. I have to ask you, has there ever been a moment in your career where you've been sitting behind your kit looking out to the crowd, and this could have maybe been with Spinal Tap, I don't know, where you've thought, how on earth did I get here with this band? And I'm obviously mean that in a good way. How
Oh,
it was
I
it?
understand your question. Yeah, well, I say every single time I'm behind my drums, wow. I look over to Ringo 5 feet away. Wow. I look at Nigel Tufnell. I look at Derek Smalls. I look at the whole band. And whenever I'm in a situation, C.J. Vanston, the musical director that got me the gig with
Mm.
Spinal Tap, playing Wembley Stadium or Wembley Arena or Glastonbury or the Greek Theater. I look at David St. Hubbins and I go, man, I'm a fan of this band. I am blessed, and the word is blessed. I've always been a big believer in prayer, and I pray about the Maynard Ferguson gig, the Ringo gig, the David Lee Roth gig, ELO. I always try to be the best drummer I can be, and I've never been the guy that's like, I'm going to be in my high school band, and we're going to be the next Foo Fighters. That the
Mhm.
chances of that are very, very slim. But if I try to be the best me I can be, you can sure plug into a lot of bands. Toto, Jeff Porcaro passed away. They got Simon Phillips. Simon hurt his back real bad. Steve Lukather says, man, can you do a 4-month tour of Europe starting tomorrow? I mean, that's the answer to prayer, Ollie. And so every single time I pick up the sticks, whether I'm recording here in Los Angeles or doing an event, an amazing event in Liverpool, like the UK Drum Show, playing with Ringo, playing any gig, I'm just going, wow, wow. And that word right there, grateful, those two words, grateful and thankful, are what it's all about. Because there's a lot of people that play gigs and they're always complaining. Half of being a working drummer is think of the pie. Half the pie is how you play. The other half the pie is, are you a cool person to hang out with? What kind of person are you? Do you like people? Do you try to be a light and lift people up? Or are you complaining and putting people down? Nobody wants to be in a band with someone like that.
Think you're probably one of the most high energy individuals I've ever spoken to. How do you manage to put that energy into your drumming? Do you think of it as I'm Gregg Bissonette, this is my personality, this is how I'm going to showcase it? Or do you think your drumming reflects that amazing energy you've got?
Thank you. What a great question. I don't think of myself as someone with a personality when I play. I try to play for every band the way the song is supposed to be played. Like with Ringo, if we do boom, it don't come easy. I could never play like Ringo, but I want to try to play my best impression of Ringo the way he played on that song. If we're doing Rosanna with Toto, I'm not going to try to play it like me. I'm going to try to play it as close to Jeff Porcaro. If we play Africa, Hold the Line. If we play Dance the Night Away, Van Halen, I want to try to play like Alex Van Halen on the Van Halen songs, Unchained, or any of the songs. I'm a huge Van Halen fan. With ELO, my brother and I got to do, if you go on YouTube and type in ELO Zoom, there's like 30 something songs. We did a concert with ELO and Jeff Lynne, and we were in the band for a while. The tour didn't happen because of 9/11, and a lot of other things too, but it was not a chance to go on the road. But we did those songs, and I tried my best to play the Bev Bevan parts, the drummer in ELO. But I try to play the right tempos all the time. I have one of those rhythm watches, and before I start the song, I just like to tap down and get the tempo of where the band wants to play it on the road. You don't always play record tempo. You might bump it up a notch or two. But you mentioned energy and being kind of a really super joyful, happy guy. I hate feeling tired. If I'm tired, I'll do one of two things: take a nap or have a Red Bull or a coffee. I just don't like feeling tired. I don't drink. To me, alcohol just makes you, oh, let's go to the pub and have a beer before the next song. Really? And in England, the beers are huge, or a Guinness. That'd just make me tired, man. I don't want to be tired. I had a big cup of coffee before I came on the Zoom with you today, Ollie, and I like feeling up and energized. And so I exercise a lot. I swim a lot. I do a lot of caffeine. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. But why would you not want to feel up? When you play, however, as a drummer, you get that tempo. I will not slow down. I will speed up if anything. It's just my nature. I'm kind of running hot all the time. Running a little bit hot tonight. Hey, parable. I'm always running a little bit hot. So I got to watch that I keep the groove, keep the tempo where it is. If the guitar player's rushing in any band or on any track, I will tend to speed up. I'll listen to them. If the bass player's dragging, So try to not be influenced if anybody else is having a good day or a bad day. Try to
Mhm.
just lock it in. That's our number one job as a drummer. Pick the right song and hold that tempo for the whole song. And dynamics is probably our number two. We control the dynamics. If you go down to cross stick or you're wailing on the washing the crash, you
Mhm.
can bring down the vibe of the dynamics of the song. Dynamics are super important. I have long
What?
answers, don't I?
No, it's good. I like it. I like it. What you're at obviously you're at a point in your career. You're at an age where you've ticked so many boxes. You know, you even a lot of people don't even know that you played the drums on the musical interludes in the TV show Friends, and I
Yeah,
believe you played. Yeah,
yeah,
and
all 10 years of that show, my brother Matt on bass, my favorite bass player, and I were
oh,
playing all those scenes. They'd go from the bowling alley to the couch, and they need some music. Ba 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 doo diddle doo da da ba 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 go psh. And all those interludes for 10 years. What a blast. I cut you off though. Sorry. I do that a
no,
lot.
no. Do you know what? I just love hearing you talk about these things with such enthusiasm. Did you think when you started drumming on Friends that that show was going to take off in the way that it did?
Here's the story, Ollie. I was playing the Jethro Tull drummer, who's one of my best friends. He was over the other day. We were double drumming with the great Dean Zimmer and the great Myron Grombacher from Pat Benatar's band. We were quadruple drumming, but I only have two kids here in my drum room. So Doan Perry, the drummer that was playing with Jethro Tull at the time, he said, I can't do a session tomorrow. Could you sub for me? I said, sure. He goes, it's really fun. It's like a New York musical, a lot of this kind of, musical and the conductor and the band and the score and the strings. I said, great. So I really hit it off with the piano player. His name's Michael Skloff, and he was playing and kind of helping with a lot of the production. And he said, man, I like hanging out with you. That's the other side of the pie. If you're not somebody fun to hang out with on the lunch break, they're probably not going to want to spend a lot of time with you. He goes, I like hanging out with you. And your brother is a bass player, right? I said, yeah, he's my favorite bass player, Matt Bissonette. He said, my wife, who knows if it's going to go, but my wife, she goes by Marta Kaufman. She's trying to create a show that could be like a sitcom. And if it goes, I want you guys to be the drummer and bass player. And she's thinking of calling it Friends. So we never knew. And about a month later, he goes, my wife got a deal with the show. It's going to be a show. Next week, we're going to start doing all the incidental music. And that was Friends. And it was a 10-year run. And now it's on syndication, which is great. I know the union's not super strong in London or in the UK, but in Los Angeles, it's super strong. In Texas, it's not super strong, but LA has a strong musicians union. And thank God, Michael filed contracts on all those shows. And Hal Blaine, the great session drummer years ago in LA, he said, look, I'm doing a lot of sessions. I want double scale, which is twice as much as scale. So my brother and I got double scale on all those episodes. And so since it's in syndication, yeah, it really is the gift that keeps on giving.
So, did you get the opportunity to hang out with the crew of Friends?
Well, having would imply meeting them. So the answer is no, no hanging. I think that's a
Oh,
David St. Hubbins line.
I
I
mean,
hung
this
out with
is.
them a lot though. No, but the
Oh,
stars,
yeah.
of the show, they do the taping at a soundstage. And to be honest, that's super boring. If you've ever been in visiting Hollywood, you see the tapings of these shows. It takes like 8 hours. Okay, we're gonna do that one scene again. But when you walk in the room, make sure you do. It's like the music
Yeah,
sessions are so much more fun.
I bet.
Michael would drive around in his Porsche and he'd have a little dictaphone, one of those little tape recorders before we had iPhones. This is like
Yeah.
94. And he'd sing ba ba doo da ba da 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 ba ba doo da ba doo dee ba ba. We'd get to the session, he'd have like 100 of those. He'd play that little mini cassette over the speakers on the headphones. Oh, cool. So we'd play, and if we all liked it, we'd go boom, like touchdown in American football.
Yes.
So if one guy said, we'd do it again. But if we went like that, so it was fun. We just laughed.
Mm.
we talked and we laughed and we told stories and we had fun. That's what musicians do on recording sessions. Actors are stressing out, trying to look at the script, memorizing their lines. Oh, I didn't do the right thing. And it's not really my scene, like the whole
Mhm.
go watch a sitcom get filmed or a movie get filmed. It's if you're an extra on a film, you can't do anything that's much more boring except sit in a cubicle and say, yes, I'd like to know, would you like a subscription to the LA Times? Who reads the LA Times? We have the internet. You know what I mean? Musicians, we have fun. We play music, whether we're touring and playing in front of people. Believe me, Ringo does not tour because he needs the money. He doesn't need money. He tours because he likes seeing someone out there in the third row with his color, the pink Sergeant Pepper suit, or someone with the yellow submarine cutout. That gives him joy, and he gives people joy. Music is really like that. It's relational. You have a lot of joy when you play. They feel the joy. They give the love back. It's about love. Same thing in a recording session, except recording sessions are not as fun as touring because it's like, great, awesome, perfect. Yeah, well, just do me one favor. Go to the bell of the cymbal on the guitar solo and make it a little tighter on the hi-hat and the verse. Maybe
Mhm.
on the bridge, go to a floor tone. I thought you said perfect.
Okay.
So there's always someone in the control room going, perfect, but let's do another take.
Yeah.
Live, man, we're just playing.
You ever been in a recording studio and you have laid down a drum track perfectly first time, but then you've done like another 30 takes just in case and then gone back to the first one?
Absolutely. Lots and lots of the time. I remember doing a session for a really great composer. I won't mention his name. He is from London and he flew all the way to LA. And my job when I show up, I don't care if it's the first take, Ollie, or the 30th take, my job is to make that person happy. If I
Mhm.
make that producer happy, he's going to call me again. And that's what I like to
Yes.
do, is play drums and work. It's not really work. Anyway, we did a take, and I had my drums all set up. I think had like, maybe I even had like a 10, 12, 14, 16. And I playing, and I'm doing these fills, and he goes, I'm going to do my bad English accent. He goes, Greg, great, perfect. Just one thing, mate. I'm not a big fan of tom-tom fills. I said, okay. So I didn't play any tom-tom fills on the next take. Great, perfect, man, perfect. Let's do one more. I'm not a big fan of crash cymbals. Maybe don't crash to identify the verse or the chorus or the B section. Okay, no crash cymbal, no problem. We do another take. Here comes the chorus. Perfect, mate. Perfect. Great. Sound is a pound. Diamond geezer. Yeah. I'm doing all my English accents. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Donkey's knob. It was great, mate. Yeah. Okay. One more take. I'm not a big fan of snare drum fills. No snare drum fills. So one more take, and I'm playing on the chorus. I'm on the right. Somebody goes, love it, great, perfect, awesome, great, man. And you know, guys in England always, maybe it's because they think when they're recording with a California guy, they got to say dude all the time. Dude, that was perfect, dude. Okay, dude, we're going to do one more take, dude. I'm from Detroit. I never said dude. In LA, women call other women dude. It's like moms with their son who's 12. Dude, get out of the water. You know, whoa, you're a mom. Anyway, he's going, dude, that was perfect. Yeah, great, mate. All right, great. Good on you, mate. One more take, but I'm not a big ride cymbal fan. I thought you said it was perfect. It's not perfect. So I did a take with snare, kick, and hi-hat, and I was super happy to do it. And at the end of the day, he came up. This is when people wrote checks.
Mhm.
And he wrote me a check. And he said, just wait a couple days for it to clear because it's British pounds. And of course, I know to wait, put it in the bank. It's going to clear in a couple days. He said, before I left, he said, I'm going to call you again because I've used a couple other drummers in Los Angeles and they always want to play what they think they want to play. And you just did what I wanted you to do. And even though you only played hi-hat, snare, and bass drum, that's all I really wanted. I wanted this great room at the Village Recorders here in Santa Monica. I wanted your drums, your kick and snare drum. But anyway, I wanted a great engineer to record it and have that live feel. But I only wanted a hi-hat, kick, and snare. And you did that. And you were happy to do it. And I said, man, all I want to do is make you happy and play for the song the way
Mhm.
Ringo would play for the song. And I want you to call me again. I want to do this again. And he has called me again because
Uh,
that's what a session drummer does.
mhm. That's cool. Obviously, your years of being a very well respected session drummer has led you to play the main stage of the UK Drum Show on the 19th of October, and we cannot wait to see what you bring to the table. Do you still, having had such an amazing career behind the kit, do you ever get nervous about playing in front of, a room, an auditorium full of drummers that are going to be eyes locked on you, looking at everything you do? And obviously, you're sharing the stage that weekend with icons. Do you get nervous about these things, or not really?
Well, I used to in my 20s, and then I started taking lessons with Tony Williams. And I asked Tony Williams, I said, were you nervous when you were 17 and you're playing with Miles Davis? He said, man, I was 17. I was too young and dumb to be nervous. The testosterone was just flowing. He said, it wasn't until I got in my 30s that I started getting nervous, like, oh, what is this drummer who's out there to hear the show? What would they like to hear? Oh, I better impress this drummer. But, he said, then I got in my 40s and I realized, you know what? I'm Tony Williams. I just play the way I play. And I just want to be the best me I can be. So I take that approach. And I turn what used to be nerves into positive excitement. There's a difference between being super excited and being up and being like, wow, I can't wait to hit the stage. It doesn't matter who played before you or who played after you. You love both of those drummers and every drummer on the bill, and you learn from them, and drummers give each other so much love, and they learn from each other and they support each other. I'm never going to play like the drummer that played before me or the drummer that played after me. All I can do is play like myself. Only Ollie has that fingerprint, no other person in the world. So just play and be the best Ollie that you can be. And don't think about, well, so-and-so's out there, so-and-so's on the side of the stage, and so-and-so's up in the sound booth. Just play and Terry Bozzio once said, don't think, turn off your brain and turn on your heart. Terry Bozzio said, let go and let God. He's said he's been playing in his drum room and practicing, for this gig or this clinic or this performance or this recording session or whatever it is. And then once you've done all the work and once you played and you got some new patterns and new fills and new licks and new grooves, then you just turn off the brain, man. Don't think. Vinny Colaiuta, another one of my drumming heroes, said
Yes.
to Rick Beato, thinking is the enemy of creativity. If you're thinking, you're going, oh, I'm going to do this. Don't think, man. Just play. Play from your heart. Play and have fun.
I love that. I love that. I love your energy. I feel like I could sit in a room with you for hours and just like listen to you talk. My last question before I let you
The
go.
last one, we got to stop. Man, Ollie, I thought this was going to be an all-day thing. I thought we were hanging all day. I set aside the whole day. UK Drum Fest. Ollie, blacked out the whole day, man. Now you're done.
Honored that I made it into the diary of Gregg Bissonette, so that's very cool. My last question before I let you go. Actually, no, I'm going to ask you two.
All right.
My first of this kind of double last question is: what would your advice be to a drummer that cites you as one of their heroes? They're coming to the UK Drum Show to come and see you perform. They would love to do all the work that you've done, work with the bands you've worked with, get the session work you've done. What would your advice be?
My advice would be, first and foremost, the pie. Don't just work on your drumming. Have social skills. Don't just practice your drums 8 hours a day and not go out and hang with your friends and play whatever people play in England, cricket and ride your bike, and just be a kid, Just be a kid that hangs out with other kids. Develop your social skills, because playing is only half of it. Getting along with people, having fun. Try to lift your friends up. If they're wearing a cool pair of Chuck Taylor All-Stars, say something like, oh, those are cool All-Stars. Where'd you get those? All of a sudden, that friend goes, wow, he likes my tennis shoes, my All-Stars, my Chuck Taylor's Converse. Just say things that lift people up. Don't say things that bring people down. The other thing is try playing with live musicians, people that have a heartbeat. If you have a pulse and you go, wow, here's a pulse, play with them. Because playing on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, posting things, it's cool, but you're never going to develop your timing, your ability to play in a band. You have to play and jam with friends. Have a bass player come over once a week. Have a guitar player come over once a week. Just play in a room with other people. Find a friend of yours who has a place where they can jam. If you have a drum set in your house somewhere, bring a small bass amp. Buy a small little bass amp. Tell your friend, hey, you don't have to have an amp. Just come over and jam. And jam with other people and realize, play songs. Listen to a song. This is what I did as a kid with my brother. We had a band. We would buy a record or a 45 or an LP and put the record on, or an 8-track tape or cassette, way before there were CDs or MP3s. Anyway, you put that on and you go, wow, let's listen to it. And let's really listen. Let's not just listen while we talk. No, do what you do in a recording session. They play a demo, you listen. I make charts. I write out what the drummer's doing, what the form is, and then stop it and go try to play. Record yourself when you jam with other people. Take your iPhone, put it on voice memo, record what you did. After you do it, listen back and go, oh, we don't really sound like that record. Oh, we're speeding up, we're slowing down. Oh, we don't have the right bass kick groove. So play with other people. And the last thing is try to be the keeper of the groove. Everybody in the band has to have great tempo, great timing, great time, we call it. But really get some kind of a reference tempo from a metronome, like a rhythm watch or something, or your phone. You could just take your iPhone and, have a whole list of tempos. And, okay, everybody ready? 2, 3, 4. And then listen to it and play with other musicians. So those are my big pieces of advice, Ollie.
Amazing. I love all of that so much, so much. I love how important that social aspect is for, as you say, for a drummer, to be involved, with band and working together and being part of a team. My last question is, what's your legacy? How do you want to be remembered in 100 years?
I don't think I have a legacy, but I want to be remembered first and foremost, more than anything else, as a great dad, a great father.
Yes.
Kids. My son, we just had his 27th birthday on Sunday, Noah. My daughter, I'm heading to Boston to the Berklee College of Music where she graduates this coming Saturday. She's 24. She's got a great voice and great songwriter, great choir conductor. I want to be more like my kids when I grow up because they're really, really awesome. So being a dad, being a father is number one. That's what I'd like to have on my tombstone. He was a good dad. I had a good dad and I had a good mom, a great dad and a great mom. My dad was a drummer. Here's my dad and I on the wall.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. That's amazing.
My mom played jazz vibes in my dad's band. They were musicians, but they really knew how to raise a family. They were great parents. So I want to be remembered as a good dad, a good guy, a good drummer, someone that played a lot of different gigs. Because, when I think about it, my favorite band of all time is the Beatles. My dad was playing a gig. And he came out and he heard all these screaming teenagers. He said, what's going on? And the guy said, the Beatles are staying upstairs. They're playing tomorrow. My dad got tickets. I saw the Beatles when I was 7 and my brother was 5 at Olympia Hockey Arena where the Detroit Red Wings played hockey in Detroit. And so to play with Ringo and to get to have Paul come out. Here's a photo of Paul coming out on Ringo's birthday. Yeah. And we played together. And we played birthday and surprised Ringo. To play with those guys, wow. And then Van Halen, especially old Van Halen with David Lee Roth. Unchained, Dance the Night Away, Jump, Panama, Hot for Teacher. Those are probably my second favorite songs to play. Then Dave leaves Van Halen and starts his own band. My prayer was, God, thanks for the Maynard Ferguson gig. He's my hero. I love doing that, but I don't want to be labeled as a jazz big band drummer only. I love rock. Help me get a gig like Journey, Genesis, or Van Halen. Well, Dave quits Van Halen and starts his own band with Billy Sheehan, Steve Vai, and I. And it's like, man, I just want to be remembered as a group. I want to be remembered as a guy that's played with a lot of his heroes and favorite, bands and stuff. And so I want to keep doing it. I'm 65. I want to die on the drums at 100. I got 35 more years left. What do you think?
I think you'll definitely do it. 100%. Greg, thank you so much for coming on the UK Drum Show official podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here. So thank you.
Thank you, Ollie. You're a great guy. I can't wait to see you in Liverpool, and have a blast.